Hello, welcome to Life Talk for June 25th, not July 25th. I had that mixed up a minute ago.
Yeah.
I'm Mark Crutcher, president of Life Dynamics, and I'm joined by the usual suspects. Renee's out on bond this week, and she's...
I know, and I have to say, I've got this problem. But I am here now.
You shouldn't have said that because some pro-abort's going to actually take that and run with
Well,
it.
you know what? I've never been in jail. We're all good. We're
Unlike a
safe.
lot of pro-lifers who
Right.
get arrested while
Yeah,
protesting.
Exactly.
Yep, that's good for them. And I'm also joined by the other usual suspect, my daughter Sheila, or Sheila the
Hello.
Doppie, as she's also
Yes,
known.
yes,
And yesterday was Sheila the Doppie's birthday,
yes.
I guess we're not going to say the age.
29.
Yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't matter.
All right. It's just an age.
Right.
It's just a number.
She was born on...
Exactly.
And Sheila, of course, as y'all know, works us for 3 birthdays a
No,
year. Yes, you
no.
do. Are you saying we don't have to do that anymore?
Well, I mean, we haven't. In the last year, we didn't. So
She works us for 3 birthdays a year. Don't let her fool you. She's embarrassed to admit this at 29 years old. This is the kind of thing 3-year-olds do,
No.
which she was doing when she was 3. But we have her real birthday, which is June 24th.
Mm-hmm.
Our family birthday, which is the day we got you, because you were 6 days old when we
Yep.
adopted you. And that's June 30th. So we got another birthday coming up here in a few days. And then she figured out early in life that her half-year birthday was on Christmas Eve. So she works us for that. And then our buddy, Father Frank, one time was here, we were out to dinner, and he knew all about this. And he suggested that she back up her birthday 9 months and get her conception day as a birthday.
Oh, we can
and,
just keep
Yeah.
going. Huh?
and add a 4th one.
that is a good idea.
Yeah,
That
oh
is
yeah,
a good
it is.
idea.
But anyway, that's where we are. Also, we don't want to forget our buddy Ernie here. We sometimes forget to introduce him, but Ernie, the frilled-necked Republican, he's our mascot, and he's here today too.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't move much. He
No.
kind of always takes the same position.
You know, he really embodies the Republican.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, all politicians, but Republican too.
Yep. Anyway, you guys got some stuff you wanted to get to.
We do.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Okay. I do want to bring people up to date on what's going on and inform what the California Senate Bill 24. It was introduced in May and passed on May 20th by Senator Connie LaVia. What she's trying to do is she doesn't want students to travel off of campus. She is wanting to bring medical abortions on college campuses, at 2 college campuses in particular. And like I said, it did pass, but today is another hearing to try to get it to go through
Finalized,
complete,
yeah.
to finalize it. Yeah, the problem with this is in California, we know how much of a pro-abortion state it is.
And getting worse.
And getting worse.
Yeah.
You can travel 5 to 7 minutes around the college campus to any abortion clinic that you want to go to get a medical abortion or a surgical abortion. And so for this to be going on is insane. And the other problem with this is that if they pass this and they're allowed to do medical abortions on college campuses, these medical offices will only be open certain times. There are so many issues that go on with medical abortions, problems, women dying.
And they have no emergency care.
There won't be any emergency care. So where are these women going to go and get the help that they need? I mean, there's just so many issues
Well, I think
with this.
I think it's something even more insidious than that. I think what they're trying to do is even further normalize abortion. Oh, it's perfectly normal. You have them on campus.
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, and they're trying to get this passed for poor and minorities.
Right.
Is what they're trying to do.
And they're trying to indoctrinate. I mean, colleges indoctrinate students. It's getting worse and worse. And we are Life Dynamics. We are trying to hook up with some people to get onto college campuses because these young people need to be educated instead of being educated by the likes of mainstream media and Planned Parenthood, so-called education. They need actual knowledge and education about this issue.
Well, basically, what college campuses have devolved into is education centers, relocation. I mean, re-education center.
Yeah,
like they used to
exactly.
have in the Soviet Union. If you said something that was outside the mainstream of political thought in the Soviet Union they didn't approve of, you could be arrested and sent to one of these re-education camps. And if you re-educated yourself and got on the program, then you might be released. If not, you might spend the rest of your life there.
Well, and what's scary is that more and more people are going to college. I mean,
Higher percentage.
a higher percentage. Look at the student loan debt right now. That's indicative of how many people are now
Right.
going to college. And so the more people that go to college and the more that they push this kind of stuff onto college campuses, the more people are likely to, say, oh yeah, abortion's okay because they're making it normalized.
Well, and she wants this to be free. And the legislation does not support choices for pregnant and parenting students. So you can go and kill your baby, but they will not support it if you want to.
If you don't want to kill it, you get no money.
Yeah, you get no support, no help whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so,
it's just,
let's make sure people understand something. There is no such thing as a free abortion.
yeah,
Somebody pays for it.
exactly.
It's the taxpayers who pay for it.
Yeah.
So, in other words, they're looking at me and at you and at you and saying,
Yeah.
we're going to take money out of your paycheck and use it to buy abortions for other people.
Right.
You're going to pay for the killing of someone else.
Because as much as abortionists like to say, oh, we do it for the women. No, they do it for the money.
Yeah, they do it for themselves. Well, if you can go to ProLife San Francisco to find where you can contact legislators in the area to
Fight this.
to fight it. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And this kind of goes hand in hand. So if you do a medical abortion, if you have one, and you aren't able to just go home and wait until you pass the baby, I guess, so-called,
Yeah.
and you're busy, there in South Africa, there was a baby, an unborn child that was found on a plane inside the toilet. And this can happen anywhere. We had interviewed 3 girls in Houston that worked for Douglas Carpin, the abortionist there. And there was an appointment of this lady that was supposed to come in.
Well, they just talked about one.
They just talked about one.
They said
and
it was common.
yeah, it happens many, many times. This person gave birth in a McDonald's restroom, and she passed her dead baby in the toilet. And of course, they hazmat, they had to close down the McDonald's. Well, this girl was supposed to have been at the abortion clinic that morning, and so they saw it on the news, and they knew exactly
Right.
that this was the person that was supposed to be there. This is exactly what happened, and I know this is in South Africa, but this can happen anywhere.
I mean,
And it does happen.
it happens all the time because if you have a medical abortion, and the abortionist doesn't suck the baby up, well, you got to pass the baby somehow. That baby has to exit
Well,
somehow.
that's where it's medical or they were talking about
Yeah.
late-term abortions that were not the
Right.
RU46.
Yeah.
And,
But-
if you remember, all 3 of them agreed
Mm-hmm.
that when they saw that story about the baby they found at a McDonald's toilet,
Mm-hmm.
and the woman, the mother was not around. I don't think they ever identified her. They all 3 said we knew exactly who she was.
Mm-hmm. Right.
She had laminaria put in, and she was coming back for her
That's right.
late-term abortion.
Yeah.
And she said she never showed up.
Yeah.
So we knew exactly who this was.
Well, and I mean, even if they are supposed to go, this happens when they're not even supposed to go back to the clinic.
Right.
An
Oh, yeah.
abortionist gives them, some medicine that,
Supposed to expel the baby.
yeah, that expels the baby. And, a lot of times it happens at someone's house, but it happens out in public,
Yeah.
like on this airplane, or you hear about in the news of this,
Right.
babies being
We're seeing
found.
this.
Yeah.
And, we're seeing this more and more often now where the police are saying we recovered a baby out of the toilet at this restaurant or at this, very often at a junior high school or at a high school.
Yeah.
They find a baby in the bathroom.
Yes, they do.
And very often these are incomplete abortions
Yes.
or unfinished abortions that finish up at the, and you'll never get these pro-aborts to admit it, but
But that's what's
these 3
going
that
on.
we interviewed said
Right.
that they saw this on a routine basis and that they knew on that particular McDonald's day when their patient didn't show back up for her procedure,
Right.
they knew that was
That
the
was
one.
her.
she passed her baby
Yeah.
with
Well,
flawless.
I mean, like I said, if the abortionist doesn't suck up the baby or pull the baby out themselves, the baby somehow has to be
Gotta go
expelled.
somewhere.
Yeah,
It's gotta
just
go somewhere.
doesn't disappear.
Right. Anyway, you had some stuff you wanted to get to,
Yeah.
Sheila.
And going along with the California story, government is trying, some people in government are trying more and more to force abortion.
Right.
These women that say, oh, have the government stay out of my uterus or whatever. Well, why aren't these telling these pro-abortion politicians to stay out of their uterus?
Right.
For example, there was a justice in the UK had ordered an abortion for a Catholic woman who had developmental disabilities and a mood disorder. The justice ordered this despite objections from the woman herself and her mom. The woman was 22 weeks pregnant. Justice Natalie Levine said that, I understand that this ruling is very intrusive, but we're doing this to operate in the woman's best interest. She's under NHS Trust, which is the UK's national healthcare program. And so she was saying, we understand it's really intrusive, but this is the best interest for the woman, despite the fact that the woman herself and the grandmother, said, no, we don't want her to have an abortion. We're Catholic. We don't believe in it. We can take care of the baby together. Mm-hmm. The mom, the grandmother, is Nigerian and a midwife. And so,
She's capable of taking care
yeah,
of the baby.
the Nigerian part is, I mentioned that because this is all about getting rid of undesirables.
Right.
They don't, the NHS doesn't want to have to have this on their hands.
Make no mistake about it. Again, we proved in MAFA 21,
Mm-hmm.
eugenics and black genocide are the driving forces
Yeah.
behind legalized abortion. They were the forces that caused it to be legal and started to begin with, and they are the forces that still drive it to this day.
Well, and to have an abortion is up to 24 weeks, and she was 22 weeks, so they were trying to push it through real quick.
Yeah.
It quickly
Real
done.
fast. Real quick, I read a comment on that on Facebook. There was somebody that is far left, and he doesn't even agree with this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sick.
Well, thankfully, yesterday news came out that the Court of Appeals blocked the woman's abortion. Three senior judges overturned a ruling.
Well, here's the point, though. You're talking about something that happened in South Africa, and you're talking about something that happened in England, and we generally stay away from things that are outside the country. But what we need people to understand is, I heard this when I first got into this almost 40 years ago. Oh, well, that's being done in China, and that's
It's
being
not
done.
gonna happen
It's
here.
not going to happen here.
Yeah.
There's not anything the Chinese have done. There's not anything the British, the French, the Germans, any of them have done that we have not done eventually.
Well, and also, this is socialized medicine, which people are trying to push in the United
Right.
States.
Yes.
With socialized medicine, the government has greater control over individuals.
Right.
They have greater control over the abortion issue, forcing people to get abortions that they don't want. And people have less freedom. And with that, they're able to eliminate more and more undesirables or people that they consider unfit to live in society.
Yep, that's right. That's
They
where
just
we're
want to
headed.
wipe their hands clean. And
That's where we are.
If
And-
we allow for people that like socialized medicine, no, because if we allow socialized medicine, stuff like this will happen here.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Anyway, you had something you were going to bring up about a video that we've reshot,
Yes.
one of our videos.
So, as we all know, abortion rates are ridiculously high. Thousands of babies on a daily basis die because of abortion. Well, we had previously done what we called the beads video, which shows the rate at which people are killed by abortion. It's the number one killer in the entire world, even compared with wars.
Yeah, this is the
and
most
everything.
dangerous battlefield in the world.
Exactly,
is the
is the
woman's
womb.
Right.
Well, we recently redid that video, a shortened version, and we want to show it to people.
Powerful.
Yeah, and so that's our new video.
And what we're trying to do is just show the, we think about and all the people that have given their lives for our country. But if you add them all together and compare them just to the number of people that have been killed in abortions, it dwarfs the number of people that have been killed
Exactly.
in wars.
Yes, it does.
And this is a really quick video that people can show. And we encourage people, if they want to show it at their events or conferences or group meetings or whatever, contact us, and we can give you permission to show it. But this is a great tool to show people the immense just
the sheer
numbers.
Right,
Yeah.
the sheer numbers. We tried to do something when we originally did it, and it was my fault. I made it too long, but now we've shortened it
It
down.
was still good, though. I mean, it
Yeah,
was still
and we
very
got,
powerful.
100,000 views of it or something like
Yeah,
that.
we got quite a few.
And now that we're pushing this shorter version because, well, that's what
Because it's
sells.
shorter. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to do
Attention
things quick.
span.
But it's very eye-opening, and you have to put it in
Context, yeah.
and really just think about it.
Right, yeah. Anyway, it's time for robots. And when we come back out of robots, I want to have a little short discussion about the issue of the pro-life movement having a sense of urgency.
In 1973, the U.S. Supreme Court legalized abortion nationwide. The decision is called Roe versus Wade, and those who defend it are known as robots. This is how they think.
Conservatives who push anti-abortion legislation are hypocritical. If they truly believed in limited government, they would not be in favor of the government taking away a citizen's right to make their own choices. The only legitimate conservative position is pro-choice.
First off, we don't need the godless liberals who make up the abortion lobby to define conservatism for us. We can do that for ourselves. And it has never meant anything goes. More importantly, it certainly doesn't mean that the government should look the other way while someone takes the life of another innocent human being. In fact, any government that says it will allow that to legally happen has forfeited its right to even exist. What the abortion lobby wants the public to ignore with all this pro-choice rhetoric is that every law passed is specifically intended to deny someone the legal ability to choose a particular activity. The law does not let people make their own choices to commit rape, rob banks, or drive drunk. It does not let them choose whether to embezzle money from their employer, engage in fraudulent business practices, write hot checks, drive their cars over the speed limit, etc. Many laws even prohibit choices that could be classified as personal, such as laws against prostitution, laws that make it illegal to possess certain drugs, laws that prohibit people from selling their organs for transplants, and laws that make it illegal for people to have sexual relations with a family member, a minor child, an animal, or a dead body. In other words, not only do laws prohibit people from making certain choices, that is precisely what laws are intended to do. In effect, the law is society's way of saying that the right to choose is not disconnected from the behavior being chosen. And that is not contrary to conservative principles. Welcome back. We've got a kind of a conflict here, and we have to strike some sort of balance. I understand people saying that we need to have a long-term plan for how we're going to end this tragedy, abortion. But we can't get so caught up in the long-haul mentality that we lose our sense of urgency. 3,000 babies are still being killed every day right here in the United States.
Yep.
And they can't survive us being patient.
No.
They need us to have a sense of urgency. And this is a problem. I keep hearing people, and the reason I brought this up right now is I heard somebody the other day talk about the need to develop, and that some pro-life groups are developing what they call a 25-year plan to end abortion. I don't want to hear about a 25-year plan to end abortion. As I've told you guys before, we come here every day to end it right now.
That's right.
To do what we can to do it right. Wait a minute, to end it right now. And if we don't, then we come back tomorrow. So we have the long haul mentality in the sense that we will come back every day as long as it takes.
Right.
But we're not sitting here looking at a plan and let's say, oh, let's sit back and rest and relax and
Do what we can.
Right.
We're going to get donations from our donors. We can go on vacations,
Whatever.
it takes.
How does that 25-year-old plan help the baby that's scheduled to be aborted a week from now?
or today
Tomorrow, the next day, it doesn't.
or a year from now.
It's important that we do have, a plan going ahead, but we also need to have a short-term plan. And people that want to look into, the future and to get a plan, they need to read your book, Siege. It's basically a manual of how we need to go forward.
What we've got to do right this
Yeah.
minute. And I've heard people say, and I've had this debate with people before. They'll say, "Well, look, it took 400 years to end slavery in America, and we just got to be patient, as the people that were opposed to slavery were." Well, first off, during the vast majority of that time that slavery was legal in America, nobody was trying to end it.
Right.
So the battle to end slavery did not take 400 years.
No.
Secondly, if you went back to, let's say, the time between, let's say, 1800 and 1850, slavery ended in 1865, technically in January of 1865. The war ended in 64. But between 1800 and 1850, let's just use that 50-year period of time, there was no internet. Most people in this country lived on farms. Current news involved getting a newspaper that was a month old, right? Most people were not involved. There was no televisions, there were no cell phones, there was none of this stuff. And I would argue that if you took all the political activity that happened between 1800 and 1850 to end abortion, to end slavery, we do that much in a day today. So we've already done the long haul. We're 46 years into this thing and 60 million dead babies into it.
Right.
We've done the long haul. And we've got opportunities before us right now
Right.
to end abortion
Right.
that we may not have a year from now.
No, we may not.
We may not have a month from now.
Yeah.
We have to take advantage of
Right.
those. And, I know that, and I truly believe, and this has been a shock to me, to be honest with you, I believe that Donald Trump has been the most pro-life president we've ever had, and I include Ronald Reagan in that. I think Donald Trump has actually done more to stop abortion than Ronald Reagan did. He hasn't done enough, in my view, but he has surprised me in how committed he's been to this pro-life issue. And he's appointed 100 federal judges now. He's appointed 2 members of the Supreme Court, and if Ruth Bader Ginsburg would go ahead and go, then he could appoint a 3rd one, and maybe a 4th one. There's other people talking about retiring.
Well, and we know how pro-life Pence is too.
Right.
So
and he's
sure.
warming up in the bullpen. But the fact is, we've got to have this sense of urgency that is not tempered, but our long haul strategy needs to be tempered with the sense of urgency. The babies cannot stand for us to be patient. And we cannot let the long haul mentality become a substitute for the sense of urgency.
Yeah, and pro-life bills that are put into place and that become law but still have to go to the Supreme Court, and pro-lifers fear that the Supreme Court is going to reject it.
That's down
That's
the road.
down the road.
Well-
Let's keep pushing
Right.
those bills out, pushing those laws out.
A lot of people, there are some pro-life people who, are sit back and like, oh, all these pro-life bills are passing, this is great. The war, the battle over life, is coming to a close. Well, number one, for every pro-life bill that is being pushed, there's an abortion bill that's being pushed right along with it.
That's right.
And number two, abortion is not going to end over politics. It's going to end when abortion becomes unthinkable. When we make sure that the unborn have their right to life is
It's
protected.
obvious. It's obvious, yeah.
And so, people can't just sit back. This is not the time to sit back. Abortion advocates are getting more and more
Vicious.
Yeah, exactly.
We live in a very hostile world.
Right. And what I was going to get to with the talking about Donald Trump, there has never been in the history of this country a president that has been attacked more by the mainstream media than Donald Trump. I mean, it is obscene.
Yeah.
And the mainstream media is a joke. They're just too stupid to know that they're a joke.
Yeah. Or don't
And
care.
I lived through the Watergate. Y'all were too young for that, but I lived through Watergate, and I can remember that. Yeah, Nixon did a whole lot of things, and I'm not saying he shouldn't have been castigated for the things that he did. But the fact is, at the time, I thought, boy, the American media hates this guy, and they did. They hated Richard Nixon with a passion. I never understood totally why, but they hated him with a passion. And they were relentless in pursuit of him. What they did to Nixon was child's play compared to what they do to Trump.
Yeah.
And because of that, despite the fact that we have a booming economy that was in the toilet when Trump took over, and despite all the unemployment rate down and manufacturing coming back to America and all these things that Trump has done, he could still lose. And so we might be sitting up here a couple of years from now with one of these 23 moral defectives and degenerates that are running for office on the Democratic side. One of them could be president. It could, Biden or any of these other, and they are complete moral defectives.
Yes.
That's all you can. That's the only way you can define them.
That's right.
One of those people could be running the country. At that moment, the abortion battle changes totally.
Right.
We better take advantage of what we've got right now.
Yeah.
And not get lapsed into this sense of urgency. I mean, this long haul mentality. We ought to have that sense of urgency.
Yeah.
Babies are dying. Babies have died since I started this conversation. Just a few minutes ago,
Right.
babies have died not far from this office.
Yeah.
So we have to have a sense of urgency because it's urgent for them.
Yes.
And we've got opportunities that may not come our way again. So we've
Yeah.
got to do that.
Take advantage. Yep.
It's absolutely, this is the time. What else?
Nothing else. Having computer problems.
You're having a computer problem, so you don't know who's watching and who's not watching, or who's commenting or who's not commenting.
No,
No.
not very good reception.
Yeah, we do have. Our reception in this building is spotty. Sometimes it's really good, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's not. But
Yeah.
anyway,
It's kind of cloudy out.
all right. Well, we'll see you next week. Until then, remember, Life Dynamics is not here to put up a good fight. We're here to win, because winning is how the killing stops. We'll see you next Tuesday.